Yeah, so hey you guys. In this pretty much in this week's episode of Vikings season 1 episode 2, a lot of things happen. For one, Ragnar, Rollo, Floki and company have finally went west. So let's just try to rewind this back to the very beginning of this episode. So the beginning of the episode takes place with Ragnar and Rollo going to a friend's house, and I believe his name is Eric Martin, and he tells Ragnar and Rollo that he's gathered all the young viral men and warriors, all this stuff, to hear out Ragnar and Rollo's plea. So Ragnar's trying to talk, you know, and Ragnar's saying that, they found a way to get to the west and all this stuff. So you have certain characters saying, how can we sail across an open sea? And it's a little bit rambunctious. And Rollo's like, listen to him. And everyone's silent. And Ragnar saying that the Earl isn't aware of, their new, that like aware of the fact that they have a new way of navigation for the sea, and I believe this guy named Canute is saying that he doesn't believe it. There's not, any way that this is possible, saying it's just stories. And Ragnar's all saying, well, stories, all things begin and end as a story. And he was saying that if they join, if the group of, if everyone joins him and Rollo, that, he gives them opportunity to shine in battle, impress the gods, and bring back such plunder, such that no one has ever seen before. So everyone pretty much, agrees and all that, good jazz. So pretty much after that, I believe the very next scene is the guy who was watching Ragnar, Rollo, and Floki sail Floki's constructed longboat near the end of the episode, telling the Earl that they're planning on going west. And the Earl Harold says, like, well, I expected that. So the guy's like, well, should we give them the axe? And the Earl's like, not that would give me any more pleasure, but it's not the right time yet. So you have his wife pretty much agreeing with him, saying that all good things come through being patient. Then you have the dude just looking at her, all lustfully and shit, which I found to be extremely stupid. It's like, listen, dude, that's the Earl's fucking wife. This dude's obviously one of them alpha dudes. So why the fuck would you do some shit like that? So the Earl notices, and he's like, do you want my wife? Are you lusting after my wife? And the guy's like, no, sir, no, sir. He's like, you can sleep with her. He's like, oh, really? And he falls for it. Later in the episode, he thought with his little axe in his pants, and that got him killed and murdered, But yeah, back, let's go a little bit forward. So Ragnar is cleaning with Lagertha, and he's saying that he's going to go west tomorrow. And Lagertha say, okay, when do we sail? And Ragnar's like, no, you can't come. She's like, why? You know what? She said, in my dreams, we are always together. And we always dream of going west. And he's all saying, who will take care of the farm and the children? The Earl might try to repossess it if both of us left. Something along them lines. Then he was all saying, okay, what if we go, together and we both die? Who's going to take care of the children? Rollo, And then she's all pissed. She kind of springs a little water in his face, saying, you insult me. And then she just storms off. So, later in the scene, they have this really, really funny and hilarious fight. She fucks him up, even though he's drunk, and then Bjorn comes in and said, stop your fighting. What the hell is wrong with you? Don't you ever do that again. Then they stop, and then Ragnar mentions something about, the boar and the pig. Then she just smacks at a Ragnar, and he's like, oh, again, So, later after that, you have Ragnar and all his men pretty much preparing to set sail, putting all the food and all the shit in there. You have him speaking with Floki, putting a knife to his throat, saying, where's the damn anchor, man? And Floki's like, it's coming. He's going to, the blacksmith's going to bring it. He's like, how do we know for sure? He's saying, he has like a little lock of the blacksmith's daughter's hair. He was saying, he'll come, and the guy does come. You know what I mean? So after that, You know, everyone's kind of like in this. I think this like kind of like spiritualistic. I don't know words can describe it, like this really like a cultural like thing, which everyone's sitting down. They got this big thing of water. Everyone's taking turns washing their face, kind of snoring out their snot, spinning it, like in a way to purify themselves before they head towards the west, whatever. So during this little thing, Rolo notices, I believe one of Floki's slave girls. I'm not for sure, but she's with Floki obviously. So he gets horny. Next thing you know, next scene, he rapes the shit out of her. And I thought at first, I was saying just by the look at her face, that possibly, she may want to kill Rolo later or do something to him for that shit. Because she was pissed, and rightfully so. She just got raped. So you have Floki put on his little male eyeliner, you know, and then everyone, they prepare to set sail. So during this little melee, there's a thunderstorm happening, and it's very difficult, and everyone's comparing it to Thor, and the lightning is just the sparks from his anvil and all that stuff. And while this is happening, you have Latha telling Bjorn and Gita the story of, I believe Yamagun is the name, Yermangun is the name of the serpent, who encircles the sea and has a tail in his mouth, and he's a rival of Thor. And there's a story in which Thor and Yamagun are fighting. It's an even battle, and just their battle is so ferocious that the waves are just pummeling the shores and all that stuff. But somehow the snake escapes, and Thor yells in anger, along the line. So after that, after Lacta says that story, you have her kind of waiting, outside her house, just wondering what's happened to her husband, wondering, all that stuff. So you have this monk, this specific monk, who, notices, had everyone in this, who's a part of this monastery. He notices when he's outside, he sees a serpent-like thing in the sky, which is similar to the Vikings' boat and lightning and thunder, all through the sky. So he knows it, and all his fellow compatriots, fellow monks knows it. So, and they're talking about something about, end of days type shit. So he goes to the leader of the monks, the monastery. I believe his name is Father Cuthbert. And they're talking, and he's saying, I seen it, it's just as the Bible described, the end of days, the skies will darken and all that good shit. And the dude's like, man, I don't have time for this. Just leave, And you could tell that even though he didn't really believe it, maybe he did believe, because by the look at his eyes, he was sort of feeling himself like, what, this is probably true, but I just don't want to, I don't want to let it get into my mindset. So anyways, the Vikings are getting close. You have some mad dude saying that Ragnar set them all up to fail, and those things are west. Ragnar's trying to warn him to shut up, shut up. He keeps going, comparing him to Loki. And Ragnar just standing like, ah, dead. Throw him over the boat. You know what I mean? So after that, Ragnar tells Rollo to fetch the ravens. The ravens come back. There's no land. If they don't, there is land. AKA like a Noah type shit, So they get there, and everyone's celebrating. They finally made it to the west. They made it to what is Lindisfarne, which is, as I mentioned before, connects to the monk thing I said earlier about the monastery. So after that, everyone's preparing for war, preparing for battle. Ragnar saying, don't throw away your lives, stupidly, even to impress the gods. And they make their way in there, and the main monk pretty much guides the people, sounding the warning bells and all that stuff. And he tells the lead, and Father Cuthbert tells everybody to hide and shit. And that didn't do anyone any good. So pretty much getting straight to the meat potatoes, the ending, all the monks got dominated and beat the shit up, taken, enslaved and all that shit. And Ragnar actually spares the lead monk. I mean, the guy that started the one that confronted the lead monk earlier about why is that book so important to him, the Book of John, and how does he speak his language. And the guy says pretty much, without the word of God, there is no meaning to life. And also the reason why he could speak his language, because he traveled to speak the word of God. You know what? So yeah. So pretty much that's the end of my review for Vikings Season 1, Episode 2. Thank you for watching.